Welcome back. You're watching DXB today. Now, healthy meals don't just keep the kids energized, but also impacts their focus, mood, and long-term well-being. So our next guest is the CEO of Food Nation, a chef-driven business that caters for over 70,000 students across 3 Emirates. Please welcome to the show, Magnus Mumby. Magnus, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's so funny, just last night I was speaking to somebody who caters meals to schools, and he was talking about how dealing with different schools is so different and challenging because every school has its own idea of what nutritious foods must be. Like one school doesn't allow muffins, the other one doesn't allow pizza. So it is quite a complex business to run, would you say?
Yeah, it's got its interesting elements to it. I think if you sort of work back to the premise of the biggest impact that you can have, which is what Food Nation has done, which is make it about clean eating, so there's no processed foods. If everything's made from scratch from whole ingredients, then schools don't really have an issue with the muffin. If it's made from raw cocoa and zucchini and things like that, then it's a lot more acceptable. So it's about how you approach it and fix the solutions. There's no such thing as a bad food per se. It's how you make it and put it together. I mean, again, getting back to that thing, if everything's made from whole foods in-house, it's all good.
I love how times have just changed because growing up in Dubai, we would get that $1 pizza from school. I don't know if you know this one, Tina.
It was like plastic.
Yeah, it was plastic. It was a pizza and a donut and a fruit juice to wash it all down. Good days, good days.
All of that stuff's now banned. That's the thing, you see. That's how it's moved on. It was very much like that when we started over 10 years ago. But yeah, all of those things are now gone.
They say, you are what you eat. But how important is our diet to our emotional well-being?
Massively. It's the biggest thing. I mean, the food that you eat is going to have the biggest impact on your overall health for your lifetime. The biggest impact on that is the food that you eat. And this is something that we're kind of trying to engage with students with the temporal discounting, quick fix now, long-term debt to pay at a later date. And so we're approaching looking at issues that way. And like you say, using that phrase, you are what you eat. And strangely, there's a new piece that I'm working on, but it is, does food these days match food, the description, definition, or poison? And it's very startling, actually, where the answer to that sits.
But where do people start? Where do parents start? Because it's so overwhelming, isn't it? If you realise, okay, we're not eating healthy, like what's one thing that they can...
So this is catering to the education sector, is just about small wins on a daily basis and going out there and repeating it and doing it again and again and again. But at home, really the big impact is just taking charge of where the food's coming from. I mean, if you're handing over your life and your diet and your well-being to Talabat and Deliveroo, then that's probably not going to end well. So it's kind of just on small base. Start with one evening where you have let's all cook the evening meal and make it an event with the family.
Because people will say they don't have time. That's the thing.
Well, there's a lot of
they've got time to go to the gym
now as well.
True.
You can.
That's true.
Magnus, you know what? I grew up. I was always a little overweight, and it definitely affected my mental well-being and my health. And I really struggled my entire life. And I love that there are rules that are being enforced now by the UAE, right? Mm-hmm. Haven't there been some rules implemented this year that now regulate how you guys are catering? Not just you, but forcing other companies as well.
Yeah, there has always been a lot of very strict guidelines around what you can and can't serve in schools. It was somewhat laxer, as we were talking about, with the $1 pizza, donut, and juice.
Plastic pizza.
But those regulations have been in for a long time, and they're there for a reason. And they're fairly logical. No sodas, no chocolate. You basically the easy fix junk food you're not really allowed to sell. So you've got to be engaged in creating healthy options and alternatives. Now, what has changed this year is that list and those things that are allowed in schools has now been extended to lunchboxes. Now, this, for food catering companies like Food Nation, this is a huge win, because we have always had to we've always been the bad guys, It's like the parents pick the children up and you're supposed to have fed them broccoli, mung beans and low-fat everything and so on, and then they pick them up and whiz them off to, around the corner to whatever your favourite sort of retail is. And woe betide you if you haven't followed that. But meanwhile, they're sitting next to a child from home who's got, sodas, salty snack, all of the stuff we're not allowed to even think about, using. The kids that sat next to her eating that. So it's like one rule for the caterer incumbent and another rule for everybody else.
But I'm noticing that teachers, at least in our school, are now sending emails to parents. Well, it was lunchboxes, they're not happy. But comparison is a thief of joy, we always say. And like with my kids, they'll be like, this kid gets Oreos and he gets Nutella. And I'm like, balance, a little treat, or no, just as
No,
cleaning?
you can't. I mean, this is the thing. You
one
can't.
crappy process?
Yeah, you can't just take away everything, and this is the point. That's just going to make it zero fun. No one wants to eat it. It's like, right, there's nothing wrong with muffins and tacos and all of these kind of things if they're made from whole, real ingredients. You're concentrating on the fat and flavour content and all those things. You're ticking those boxes. There's nothing wrong with them. So, you know, to try and take that away, that would be the big mistake. I mean,
Right.
our biggest days are things like Taco Tuesday. We have Chinese New Year because the kids all love the noodle boxes and chopsticks. And the whole interaction with the food. Diwali, again, you know, butter chicken is probably the kids' favourite meal in the school. So you've got all these diverse things that the kids all love. And if you'd sort of tried to take any one of them away or just draw a line under it, that's
How you tackle it
Yeah,
all.
exactly. So
Magnus,
Magnus,
what you thinking?
I'm a big believer in deal with the basics first when it comes to most things. So obviously by the time Jasmine comes in with like sort of mental health and anxiety, that's reached a more advanced stage. But do you think the foods that kids eat not only affects their physical health, but do you think it can lay a foundation for their mental health as they grow up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a huge impact. I mean, my family are all medical, so you know, my parents were heavily involved in food and environmental illnesses and that kind of background. And there's shocking sort of parallels between behavioural patterns and diets. There's many examples I could give you, but I mean, just sticking to a few of them. Not least of which is with a more nutritious diet of whole foods and less processed foods. The studies now in America have shown that increases IQ across the board as well. This is not just in some cases it increases IQ. It's like, as they've followed the metrics of increased nutritional value in the meals, in the foods in the test subject, IQs have gone up, and that applies to children that have suffered from, say, Down syndrome and so on. It's multi-level. That that nutrition does play a huge part in the mind, and the gut as well. I mean, the gut obviously plays a huge part in the diet and so on. Now, 90% of serotonin and sort of mind chemicals are created in the gut, not the brain. So again, they are exactly what you eat will affect how they're produced and how much ability you have to sort of regulate
at the start, you are what you eat.
Exactly.
Magnus, we would love to talk to you for so much longer. I'm sure we're going to have you back on.